Richard from SharpshootingUK here, carrying on my IOR series, specifically the 40mm tubed ones. I have had the wonderful 5.8 to 40, which I've been raving about, first focal plane that. But I've also got the 12 to 52 40mm. The only thing that really caught my interest was what IOR were doing with their new 40mm scopes. This fascinating 5.8 to 40 and the ultra high mag 12 to 52 40mm. So moving from the 9 to 36, the changes here are, this is a 40mm tube, which gives you more internal adjustment and, presumably more optical quality. Just because the tube is bigger doesn't necessarily mean that you're dealing with a better scope. There's some 1-inch scopes that are way better than some of the cheaper 30mm scopes. But essentially, it should be progress going bigger. Much upgraded ergonomics. Here we've actually got on the mag ring here, as you zoom in, it actually clicks. Not only have you got a visual indicator that the ret is now true to MOA, but it actually clicks as you go. So they've really thought, what can we do to improve the experience for our users? Got the stub here to help you turn it, upgraded ocular, color coding on the turrets here, red for left, zero stop. I'll explain that in more detail, separate review happening for that, how to set them and adjust them and such like. Dual 0 points, and of course this very innovative tube focus. I find that really easy to use. I've really taken to it. You reach forward for the side focus and it's just another few inches forward, but it doesn't give you the problems that front PA used to, where you had to reach too far forward and it was uncomfortable. This is very much where your fingers want to end up naturally, so I really like that. I've heard that if you move away from side focus to front PA, you lose a lens and a small one in the saddle as well, because it's quite busy in there, and that is an optical advantage. And there are a couple of scopes I've compared side focus versions to front focus versions, and the front focus version is always better, always. So maybe this is what IOR were thinking. If we can lose this little side focusing lens in the middle of the saddle and do it up the front, then it's going to work better optically. I don't know if that's the case, but there must have been some reasoning why they did it. And, well, all I can say is that optically this thing is quite stunning. So whatever they were thinking has worked. But, yeah, it looks cleaner. I like it across the board. I think this could be the future. Well, having used this now side by side, it's straightforward. Bottom line, guys, is there has not been an optical jump. There have been two. And this is wow optically. At any magnification, it has more pop, more punch, more brightness, more resolution, more everything, apart from field of view, which is about the same, than the previous generation, this 9-36 that I've loved so much. What a piece of kit optically. I can't believe how much they've moved forward. At any mag, compared to the 9-36, which compared favourably to the Night Forces, etc., etc., the resolution and the edge to edge and the contrast and that kind of shot, kind of Zeissy pop is better. Clearly, as you zoom in, you need more light. If you take the best 80mm Swarovski spotting scope on the planet on a grey day full of rain, say, or mist, you whack it up to 60 times, you're not going to be able to see anything. All you're doing is magnifying 60 times all of the rain and all of the mist. If you use it on a day full of mirage, no dice. You've got to use high mag, really high mag, 30 plus I'd say, you've got to have flat, clean air and light. You have to know what you're doing to use a scope of that type, to be honest. If you think that you can just zoom up to 50 and all your problems are over, then you're going to be disappointed, because you're magnifying the imperfections in the air. And there aren't many days where the light is so flat and clean that you can actually use the mag. But on those days, you zoom this thing in and it's really impressive. People are first going to say, does it dial perfectly? And there was a brilliant test recently done by Precision Rifle blog, mega scientific. And this generation of IOR, the 40mm with the tube parallax, dialed 40 mils. That's 130 minutes, and it wasn't a single click out. It actually was perfect in this test. There were a couple of others that did it. Even the Night Force were a couple of clicks out. So with regard to your tactical quality, your dialing, that was a very detailed test, and the IOR really aced it. Did well on the field of view. These are, right up there with the top scopes in the world. Mounts wise, in 40mm, Optics Warehouse have got various options for you. This is a 40mm one piece, which is really smart. Nicely finished, good quality. It's a little bit higher than the two-piece rings, which look like this. I think people are used to these now. Really solid. These are the 35mm, but they look the same. And there's also a 6-bolt version that's obviously half as wide again, uber burly. And reasonable prices for tactical mounts. So Optics Warehouse got you covered there. So this is an ultra-mag second focal plane target scope. What I want to talk about primarily here is the comparison for me to its main competitor, which is the wonderful PM2 12-50. I used one of these a few years ago in comparison to my 9-36 IOR. It's the only scope I ever really used that I felt was the equal or better than the IOR 9-36, in that it did everything the 9-36 would do, but it did it all with more field of view, and I was very impressed with it. I'm a much bigger fan of the 12-50 version than I am the 5-25, which tunnels terribly at the bottom and is really a kind of a 7.5-25, and I'm not... It is regarded as one of the best scopes on the planet, and I don't argue with that, but it never really interested me, whereas the 12-50 genuinely does 12, tack sharp at the bottom, no tunneling, no messing, and genuinely will just click up to 50, and you barely notice that it's got any darker. It's very, very good. So when I was testing the 40mm ultra mag second focal plane IOR, this was the obvious comparison for me. The bottom line in the comparison is that the S&B at all mags has slightly better field of view. Not a great deal, but it's there. It is a bit wider, which is impressive. It also has significantly better edge-to-edge sharpness. It is also globally a little bit brighter, enhanced by the fact that its colour cast is very bluey white, whereas the IOR is a yellowy greeny colour, and the overall effect is that the S&B feels brighter. However, in the middle, when focused carefully, the IOR is minutely higher resolution, but the 12 to 50 S&B is right there. It's very, 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 very impressive, this scope. It is really good. I'm a big fan of it. The other thing that is very different is that the focus on the IOR snaps in and out and is very fussy, and that enables you to get it completely perfectly sharp, and you know no more can be done. The S&B, like the Zeiss's, is very, very tolerant, so you basically stick it on infinity and it's just not going to get any better by messing with it. But I find that I do hunt with the side focus, trying to get just that little bit extra, which I find distracting. So I am inclined towards scopes which click in and click out, but that's just me. The next man may like to just leave it and not be fussed. Yeah, so the S&B has got that bright feel. It's very unfussy. It is real sharp, real good all the way. And at 50, it darkens down a little bit, but it is very, very impressive. The IOR perhaps has slightly better center sharpness, but it doesn't have that edge-to-edge flatness that the S&B does. It is fringed around the edges. Some binoculars do it. It's not the end of the world in that you're not really looking at the edge, but you'd rather have the image perfect center to edge at all times, wouldn't you? So it is a failing, and there is a little bit more of the S&B. So all that the IOR really has that is better is that kind of HD center circle, which really does impress. There are also a couple of foibles with the IOR that you don't have on the other 40mm scope, the 5.8 to 40, and you don't have on the S&B, and that is that about halfway through the mag range, you have to shuffle back. Your eye relief changes tangibly in the middle of the zoom. It's not the end of the world, because you're rarely looking at 12 and then suddenly going to 52, but there is this slight shifting in the eye relief as you zoom, and you know that's forgivable on an ultra mag scope. A lot of scopes do it, to be honest, but at the end of the day, if you're comparing it to the S&B PM2 12 to 50, it doesn't do it. It is very, very slick. If you look at the IOR, as I've mentioned before, there are actual audible clicks, and you can actually feel them, and coloured markings that show when the ret matches to minutes, milrad, half milrad. And the ret and the turrets are very much in harmony, which is the modern trend. That said, you're only allowed quarter minutes, and there's no other options. Whereas on the S&B, you can order various different turrets, multi-turn, single turn, etc., etc. So you've got options there, but none of them really match the ret very clearly, and you have no markings on the magnification ring as to what matches what at what mag. So it's not quite ergonomically so modern. Make no mistake, this is a very well thought out, up-to-date scope with sublime optics. The 40mm stuff that IOR are doing is quite stunning and unbelievable to behold, and that's compared to all the best scopes in the world. It really is very sharp, very high res. It really is stunning, massive fields of view, impressive stuff. I think my decision when buying an ultra-mag scope would be between the PM2 and this, and I think I'd buy the IOR on balance, mainly because the RET, the floating dot RET, is a complete classic, and it's perfectly tuned to this mag range and the turrets. It is just outstanding.